Hi, second graders. It's Farmer Tina. It's good to see you guys. I miss being in your classroom and coming to see you, but I thought I could share a lesson with you from my house. So I want to do a lesson today on seeds. Seeds, glorious seeds. The weather's nice. Spring has started. I'm going to encourage you guys to go outside and look outside, but when you have a moment that you're inside, maybe it's a rainy day, it's a great time to look at seeds. And I know that we learned about the fact that we do eat seeds. And I want you to take a moment, I just want you to think about some of the seeds that you actually eat. And just so you know, as part of this lesson, I'm also sharing with the teachers a worksheet that if you want, and I'll put it in my directions, you can print this worksheet out beforehand and you guys can kind of follow along the lesson. But I wanted to start with kind of talking about some of the seeds that we actually eat. So I brought a few examples. And the first example I brought that I love to have in the fall are these right here. And these are pumpkin seeds. I love having pumpkin seeds roasted after we carve our jack-o'-lanterns, but that's a wonderful seed that I can eat. Another seed I brought were sesame seeds. I like to have these on my bagels, and I also like to make recipes including those sesame seeds. So you can see those little sesame seeds. Another favorite is these. And not only do we like to eat these, but these are loved by lots of birds. And these are sunflower seeds. So those are another tasty option. Something that's great to put in smoothies or breads or muffins are these little guys. These are called flax seeds. And there's our flax seeds. Something that a lot of times we don't think of, but if you like to have cereal like Cheerios or maybe you have oatmeal in the morning, both of those products came from oats. And oats are a seed. Now the ones that we have in our oatmeal, well, they took that seed and they kind of flattened it out. They rolled it out. So they call them rolled oats. But oats are also a seed. Think about rice. When you have rice is actually a little individual seed that we're eating. And if you eat things like bread and you have pizza dough and you have bagels, anything that was made from flour, which comes from wheat, also came from a seed. And then another one that we like to have, and I know it's kind of funny looking, but is corn. Corn is also a seed, and this is a really fun Indian corn that's it's lots of different colors. But these are some examples of seeds that we might eat. Perhaps as we're eating things like strawberries or raspberries or blueberries or bananas, we just happen to be having those seeds as we eat them. And it's really important to eat seeds because seeds have a lot of nutrients in them. They have a lot of calories because they have so many good nutrients. And we're going to learn why those seeds have nutrients today, because I thought we should really investigate what's inside of a seed to see what's going on in there. They're small but mighty, they're nutritious, they're delicious, and I would love for you guys to tell me about some of the seeds that you eat. So at this time, if you want to pause the video, you can write down some examples of seeds that you might actually eat. Okay. So hopefully everyone came up with a good list of different seeds that we eat. And I just want to remind you again what it says up here, that seeds are small but mighty. They provide us with lots of nutrients in a small package. Many seeds help heart health because they contain fiber, magnesium, something called beta-glucan, which all can help lower cholesterol and even lower the risk of heart disease. So that's why Cheerios always puts little hearts on their package. But one other seed I thought of as I was doing this was I love cucumbers. So, and pickles as well. Anytime I eat a cucumber pickle, I just happen to be eating those seeds. All right. The next thing I wanted to do was I have been stockpiling some food and I had dried beans. So these are lima beans, okay? And what I've done is I actually soaked them in water, okay? And I put them in the water yesterday afternoon And then I soak them, and look how much bigger they got. It's crazy how much bigger they got. But what's cool at this point, I can actually take this seed and I can kind of look at what's inside it. Now, you may not have a magnifying glass at home, but no fear, Farmer Tina is going to kind of do this experiment for you and show you exactly what's inside that seed. So let's do that now. Okay, so I have my lima bean, and what I'm going to do, and like I said, if at home you have some dried beans, you could certainly put them in some water overnight and do this yourself, but if not, I'll do it for you. So I can take this lima bean and I can actually feel something that will come off of it first. And when I do that, I'm left behind with basically like this skin that's covering my seed. And what's crazy is this is really doing a lot of protection for the seed. And it's very similar to something like if you, in the wintertime, it's cold outside and you're trying to stay warm, you would wear a coat. And so this is actually, we're going to try our best with this magnifying glass here. This is actually a seed coat. So this is a coat, seed coat, that protects our seed. And what I'm going to do on my paper, just move this to the side. On my paper, I'm going to label this right here, okay? This that goes all the way around the outside of my seed, that is called my seed coat. And if you want to, you can also write that on your paper. And then maybe later we can color it. Now, as I keep investigating my seed, I'm going to notice that I can actually pull it apart into two halves. And they're identical halves, okay? But what's really interesting is this little thing right here. And I'm going to carefully, oh so carefully, take this off. Oops, and it's so tiny and adorable, okay? But this little thing right here, I'm gonna see if I can zoom in. Oh yeah, okay. So this, and mine broke just a tiny, tiny bit, but this is actually something special from our seed. And if I look at the top, those little things, they almost look like a little fishtail, I guess you could say. That is actually tiny little leaves. And then this bigger part at the bottom is actually a root. So I want you to think for a second. Well, what has leaves and what has a root in real life? Now, it's not a seed, but think of a plant, okay? Plants have leaves and a root. And what's crazy is that teeny tiny thing inside of our seed is a baby plant. And here's another one. I'm going to put this one in here too. That's a baby plant. I think that's incredible, amazing, that inside of a seed, there's a tiny little baby plant. And that baby plant is just sleeping because seeds are actually alive. They're not dead. They're just kind of, we call them dormant. They're sleeping. But we have a little baby plant. So I'm going to go back to my paper again. Carefully move these off to the side. Oops, zoom out. And in here, I'm going to label this part right here. This is our baby plant. Oh, so cute. Now, unfortunately, this baby plant, because I did dissect this seed, this plant doesn't have a chance to grow. However, any seed that we didn't take it apart, well, that little baby plant is surviving. Number one, because it has its coat, right? Remember that seed coat. Oops. But then let's talk about the other two parts that were inside of that seed, okay? This, and this makes up the majority of the seed, are these two halves. And these halves are actually food for this little baby plant. This is called a cotyledon, but I'm going to just call it its lunchbox. It's the baby plant's lunchbox. So back again, I'm going to go to my paper and I'm going to write right here. This is the lunchbox, or I could say food storage. So this, all of that stuff is helping this little baby plant just kind of hang out in there and sleep until the day that we can get this seed in the ground. And think about, well, how can I make that little seed, okay? Or where's my original one, my little dried ones here, okay? Think about, how could I get this actual seed to grow? Think about some of the things that seeds need to grow. They need sunlight, right? They need warmth. They need soil. They need water. They need space, okay? And from those things, I could take this seed and plant it. And what's amazing is that that little baby plant, the root, and then the leaves will eventually grow from this seed. Now, I'm going to kind of finish my lesson with a little story that talks about how a seed grows over time. And at the end, I'm going to kind of encourage you guys to do some activities at home with planting some seeds or even just observing some things outside. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that. But let's see if we can read a little story about how seeds grow. But I hope you enjoyed this investigation of this bean. This is a lima bean. Lima beans are really large. That's why I chose it for this experiment, because it's easier to see the little baby plant that's inside, but you could certainly do this with anything else. Oh, that looks like a little frowny face. We'll turn it to now he's smiling. All right, let's read a story. All right, the book I'm going to read to you guys is Oh, Say Can You Seed by Bonnie Worth. A good old Dr. Seuss book. I'm the Cat in the Hat, and I think you need to come look at this thing called a seed. From the giant gum tree to this very small weed, every flowering plant started out as a seed. Plants are so useful to me and to you. Can you think of the ways? I will name you a few. The paper for your books, the cloth for your pants, came from the trees and from cotton. That's two kinds of plants. The grains and the fruits and the veggies you eat, why, they come from plants too. And here's something neat. In deserts and woods, in rainforests thick, grow plants that can make you feel well when you're sick. Yes, plants serve us well and fill many needs. And flowering plants all started as seeds. Just what is a seed? You are wondering maybe? Well, you might say a seed is a tiny plant baby, right? Just like we found out. And the best way for you to see what I mean is to take a close look at a seed called a bean. Like all seeds, a bean comes in 3 basic parts. Thing 1 and thing 2. Please bring on the charts. So you guys know the basic parts now, right? Part 1 is the first that I think you should know. It's the part that's the baby. It's called embryo. To sprout, it needs food, like you and I do, which brings us to seed part numero 2. It's called cotyledon. Say, isn't that fun? This bean seed has 2, but some others have 1. Looks just like what we opened up, right? Last comes the third part, and I think that you need to know. It's the coat which protects our cute bean embryo. To sprout a bean seed, to keep it moist but not wet, keep it covered with dirt and see what you get. In 7 or so days comes the part that I love. A root spreads below, and a stem shoots above. Now, in order to show you grown bean plant to you, we've traveled in time for some months, maybe 2. So look, we have our flower. You guys should remember this from our lesson on the parts of a plant that we eat, right? We have our flower, here's our stem, we have our leaves, and we have fruits. So the fruit in the instance of the bean plant is the actual bean shell, and then inside of those bean-like pods is the individual beans, and those of course are the seeds. And then below the ground we have our roots. To get a good look at the roots underground, it is better to make like a mole, I have found. Roots are not pretty, they're twisty and hairy, and some roots look even a little bit scary. Roots anchor a plant and help it stand true. Roots suck up the water and minerals too. And roots keep the soil from just washing away. That's pretty important, now wouldn't you say? We've talked about roots. We've learned about them. Now it is time that we move on to the stem. The stem is a pipe through which water shoots. It's absorbed from the soil and passed up through the roots. It shoots through the plant, and next, as you'll see, the leaves turn each into a food factory. And leaves come in all shapes and all sizes. I've found some small and some spiky, some big and some round. But the thing that all leaves have in common is this: they make their own food through photosynthesis. I'll say this quite loudly. I don't mean to be rude, but plants are the only living things on earth that make their own food. To do this, plants need water, minerals, and sun. And that's why the daytimes when food making is done. And for your information, and also for fun, hop in my shrink upper and let's see how it's done. The leaf takes in CO2 through a stoma, a pore. It works like a mouth, and that's what it's for. When the air gets mixed in with the water and sun, and that's how the food making factory is run. I see by my clock that now is the hour to drop in and say hello to the flower. So this is basically showing us photosynthesis right here, right? Our sunlight comes in, it interacts with the air and what's going on in the leaf to make the food for the plant. Thing 2 has a chart. He will share it with you that shows what the parts of the flower all do. In the pistil are ovules, and they're unfertilized seeds. The stamen holds pollen, which an ovule needs. An unfertilized ovule will not ever grow, and pollen's the stuff that fix it, you know. A flower's own pollen or another's okay. That's where the bees play a role, by the way, right? We gotta get that pollen to pollinate those unfertilized seeds. To make honey, bees need to get nectar from flowers. They fly and they gather sweet stuff for hours. The pollen sticks onto their bodies and legs. It falls off, and sometimes it reaches the eggs on the flowers. An ovule that's fertilized becomes a seed, and around it grows fruit upon which we feed. When we say the word fruit, do you know what that means? It means olives, nuts, grains, plantains, and tangerines, and apples, and orange, and pineapples too. All kinds of plant foods that are healthy for you. Not all plants with seeds give us edible fruit. Some plants have seeds that look weird or look cute. Burr seeds are hitchhikers that ride on your clothes. And dandelion seeds sometimes fly up your nose. Some seeds come in pods that explode like a sneeze. Other seeds may have wings and can fly on a breeze. But whether they stick or they blow or they fly, seeds bring us life, and now you know why. I see the sun setting, here comes the moon. Your mother is calling, your dinner is soon. I hope you have learned from my little seed talk, and now I will climb up this giant bean stalk. So I hope you guys enjoyed that book. A little bit about our seeds and how they grow, and a little review of what we've learned before about different parts of a plant. It was a great one. So the next thing I just want to show you guys is a couple little activities you can do at home that have to do with seeds. Here's a fun thing you can do with seeds. So we're going to make little sprout houses. I did include a PDF that is the printout of this cute little border, but do not feel like you have to use that. You could kind of make your own, or you could do none at all. But what we're going to do is we're going to need a sandwich baggie, a paper towel, and some kind of dried bean. And these are just, or any seed actually. These are beans I got from the store, some black-eyed peas I cooked last year and I had them left over. So what we're going to do is we are going to get our paper towel nice and wet. I'm going to just add some, that's my water from my lima beans. Okay. And I'm going to take my beans. I'm going to put them in here, my seeds, and I am going to fold up my paper towel around my seeds. Wipe up my water mess that I made. Okay. They are then going to go in this plastic bag, okay? Or I can use my little sprout house here that I already made. And we know our seeds need water and they need warmth. And we're going to get our warmth. We're going to leave this open, by the way. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to seal it for now. Keep it closed. But to get warmth, we are going to go to a window. And I'm going to find a nice window with lots of light, and I'm going to end up taping this right to the window. And when I tape it there, as long as it's getting nice sunlight, in about 2 days, I'm going to take my seeds out and see what is happening. And hopefully I'll start to see them starting to grow. So once we see them starting to grow, well then you're going to open this up to let air into those seeds. Because if we don't let air into those seeds, well, they're going to start to get moldy. Okay, but originally we don't need any. So enjoy making some sprout houses. So I wanted to tell you guys about a snack that is a seed that a lot of times you've probably eaten not realizing it was a seed, but that snack is corn. So this corn is not like the corn on the cob that I can eat in the summertime that's soft. This is really, really hard. And what I can do with this is that I can heat this up, and when it's heated up, it basically will pop, which makes it popcorn. So at our house, we like to eat our popcorn like this. Basically, I buy a jar of popcorn, and we have a little popper that we put on our stove that we can heat it up that way with a little bit of oil. Usually like we use coconut oil or canola oil. The other way is you can get a hot air popper. But when we cook our popcorn that way, it's a healthy snack. A lot of people buy their popcorn from the store in these packages, in the microwave popcorn. The problem with that, and my friends, we've looked, I think the last time I saw you guys, we took some time and read nutrition labels. Like we looked at the nutrition label of the soup, and we were so surprised to find that like our chicken noodle soup had no vegetables in it. So if we were to look at the package and the ingredients of our, I know it's probably blurry, our microwave popcorn, as opposed to the ingredients on our just kernels popcorn. This one, all it says is organic popcorn kernels. This one is whole grain popping corn, palm oil, salt, butter, color added, annatto, turmeric, paprika, natural flavor, mixed tocopherols, vitamin E for freshness. Like, they're adding extra things to it. This one may not be as bad as some of the others. One of the things is they do add a lot of to this is salt, along with that fat. So microwave popcorn isn't always the healthiest option. I don't even have like a bag of Smart Food, or if you were to look at some of those other popcorn, like in the bag, you might see a lot more ingredients on those lists as well. So we always want to try to stick to whole foods, things that aren't processed and don't contain a lot of added ingredients. So using this is a much healthier option than my microwave popcorn as well. So definitely take a moment over the next week. Look for some seeds that you might be eating. And I can't wait to hear all about the seeds that you guys eat at home the next time I see you. So take care, everybody, and I hope to see you soon.